Okay, so at Bablake School we follow the OCR specification for A-level physical education. The specification broadly splits into 4 sections. There's a exercise physiology and anatomy section, which also includes some biomechanics. There's an acquiring skills and psychology section, and there's also a social-cultural and historical section. The 4th section is, of course, the practical element, which I'll talk about later on, but encompasses two parts. One, your actual practical performance, and also an analysis of somebody else's performance in a game situation. I'll probably start with who should take this course. Who would it be of interest to? Who would it benefit? The first point is that you must have a genuine interest in sport and have an aptitude for at least one major sport, because that will give you a high percentage of your marks. If you've done GCSE in the past, GCSE PE in the past, that's fantastic, and if you've enjoyed that, that's another indication that it's a good course for you. You should probably have a reasonable scientific and biological background, because there's a high proportion of the course, exercise physiology, will use some of that background and those skills. You've got to have an inquiring mind and a desire to link the theoretical concepts that we cover back to sporting performance in a variety of situations. I'm going to quickly go through now the 4 sections of the course. So the first section is anatomy and physiology. So this is where your biological knowledge will be really important. So we cover a number of areas that are also covered in A-level biology. So areas such as respiration, the cardiovascular system, energy systems and action potentials are all covered in detail in A-level biology. So there is some good positive crossover and transfer between those 2 subjects. We'll also look at physiological elements that affect performance. So we'll study in detail flexibility, strength and aerobic capacity. We'll look at factors that affect them. We'll look at training methods, and we'll look at physiological adaptations that occur as a result of those, as a result of training for those areas. I'd hope that by the end of the course, you as an individual would have a really good understanding or a better understanding of training that will set you up for, if you wanted to go into a degree level course, or just to be able to plan your own training program or that of someone else, and have a physiological basis for planning those sessions. There are other areas we cover in anatomy and physiology. We'll look at the structure and function of the skeleton and the muscular system. We will look at recovery. We'll look at training and exercise at heat, in hot conditions and at altitude, amongst other areas too. Within that section of the course is examined in a 2-hour exam, and that's worth 30% of your overall mark. Within that 2-hour paper, there is one long 20-mark essay, which will obviously prepare you for in advance. The other part of that examination is biomechanics, which is the physics of sport, if you like. We'll look at topics such as linear motion, angular motion. We'll look at projectiles, levers, Newton's laws, and how they affect sporting performance. So we'd hope that you'd have an understanding of why a Formula 1 car stays on the ground instead of flying off into the sky, how we can reduce air resistance on a cyclist, or how a discus thrower could throw the discus further, okay, or how Ronaldo manages to curl a ball around a wall into the top corner of a goal. So we cover the physics of sport as well. Okay, so the second section is the skill acquisition and sports psychology section. This section is worth 20% of your overall mark and is examined in a 1-hour exam. In skill acquisition, we look at how individuals learn skills and how it's best for coaches and teachers to teach those skills, and some of the theory behind it. So we'll look at such things as classifying skills, classifying performers into stages of learning, so that we can best teach and improve the skills and activities that we're doing. This will affect such things as guidance, feedback, knowledge of results, and the actual physical setup of each practice, amongst other things, so that we can maximise performance. The psychological aspect's really interesting. So we all know that our minds affect our performance as much as our bodies. So we'll look at that in a bit more detail. We'll study personality types. We will study attitudes to sport and how they can be changed, or which activities that they might that people with different personality types might be attracted towards, how personality type might affect performance under pressure, and such things as social inhibition, where the presence of a crowd can affect performance, whether that's positive or negative. We can also then look at mental strategies and training strategies such as imagery and relaxation techniques, and how we can use those to maximise our performance as well. Other aspects we'll look at are team cohesion, group dynamics, so how can we leadership. So again, all of those will be linked to improving performance, and how we can use them in our teaching and coaching to improve teams and to improve leaders, and to make our whole sporting performance more effective. The final section, again, is a 1 hour paper and is worth 20% of your mark. Sorry, the final theoretical section is social, cultural and historical studies. This has been reduced a little bit in recent years. We'll look at the development of sport from pre-industrial Britain in the 19th century through to the modern day, so how we've gone from mob football to the FIFA World Cup and in all its glory at the moment, and the modern Olympic Games, how they've developed over the last, particularly over the last 70 to 80 years. We will look at commercialisation. So the Olympics was initially an amateur event in the early 20th century, and now it's a global sporting event that's, some would say, driven by major sponsors rather than the sporting ethos that it perhaps once had, and we'll analyse that. In the social-cultural section, we'll look at such things as deviance, so drugs in sport and violence in sport, what causes these, what are the detrimental effects, and what we can do to reduce incidences of these. We'll also look at the commercialisation of sport and link sport to the media and global companies, which have become a major factor in the development of major sport throughout the world. So that's the three theoretical sections. I think it's important to understand that there is a large degree of content. It's a multifaceted subject, and the vast majority of your overall grade will be awarded based on your theoretical knowledge. However, it's also important to note that there's a practical element. The good news for the vast majority of our students is that they are given 15% of an A-level for something that they do and love anyway, so there will be strong performers. At Bablake, we have a strong sporting history. We run really successful teams in all of the major sports, netball, hockey, rugby, football, cricket, athletics, tennis, to name but a few. And a lot of our students will choose one of those subjects as their A-level subject, as their A-level practical, and will clearly excel in that area. So we've had pupils who have gone on to national level at in many of those areas over recent years. However, you don't have to choose one of our major sports at Bablake. There is a list on the OCR website, and I'd encourage all of you who are thinking about taking A-level PE to get onto that website. So you'd need to search OCR PE, and within that page that you'll come to, you will find a specification which I'd urge you to have a look at, and also something called the Non-Examined Assessment Guide, the NEA booklet. Within that booklet are a list of sports that you can choose. Okay, it's a limited list, and you have to choose a sport from one of those. Just to give you an illustration, currently this year, as well as our major sports, we also have pupils who are choosing squash and equestrianism as part of their course, and we will assess those accordingly. You can also choose to coach or officiate, and again, I can give you more guidance on that should you wish. Your actual practical performance is worth 15%. So the final 15% of your A-level is based on an evaluation talk. You have to watch a live performance. You have to, in your sport, you have to analyse the strengths and weaknesses of that performance, and then develop an action plan as to how that performer could improve. Within that, you have to demonstrate a detailed knowledge of as many theoretical areas of the course as you can. Okay, so it's something we'll spend a lot of time working on. It's worth, as I say, 15% of your overall mark. That will be internally moderated initially, and then some people will be asked to go to an external moderation day. Finally then, where can you go with an A-level in PE? Well, anywhere is probably the honest answer. We've had a number of our students who have gone on to do sports science at university, physiotherapy, or teaching degrees. But we've also had people who've gone into law, finance, the armed forces, and many other areas that my memory fails me at the moment. Okay, but it's a great degree, either as a vocational choice to follow through to university and beyond, or just as an A-level that you're going to enjoy because you've got a genuine interest in sport and want to learn more about it.